everybody, and welcome to another episode of Late 90s PC Gaming. Today we're looking at Harley Davidson's Race Across America, developed by G2M Games and published by Infogrames. Infogrames? Whatever. Point is, seeing that publisher is kind of a... I don't know, let's just say they published a lot of crap. WizardWorks is mentioned on the back, but at this point in time they were part of Infogrames, so they're kind of one and the same. They probably distributed the PC version, or this particular release. This game did come out in 1999, but the official stamp of approval by Harley Davidson has a 2000 copyright. This particular copy probably came out in 2000, but the game originally did release in 1999, late 1999, October, so we're cutting it very close. Well, let's go check it out. I actually don't know if there's enough here to do a video on, but I thought it looks weird enough that maybe there's some weird jank to it, and yeah, maybe there'll be stuff to talk about, or else this footage just will go unused. When you start installing the game, it actually plays motorcycle sounds, which is fitting. I don't know, I just didn't expect that. At the main menu, you're greeted with the most stereotypical sounding hard rock music. And it plays the whole time. Even when you go into a race, it doesn't stop. The tracks just keep going. There's not like a new song for each race you go to. The music starts, it stops briefly before picking up the next track, and there's no theming to it. It just keeps going. You got practice mode, which, like it sounds, is just practice. And then you got tour mode. This is the meat and potatoes of the game. You got 3 tours you can choose from. All of them end up in South Dakota, and after you finish the South Dakota track, you go to Sturgis, which is very appropriate for a Harley Davidson game. If you don't know, Sturgis is a city in South Dakota, and every year they have a giant bike rally. When you go to tour mode, you got to pick a bike, and there's several to choose from, and one that's locked. Each one has its own acceleration, top speed, handling, and fuel economy stat, and the fuel in this game it's a little insane. Each track will take you about 4 to 5 minutes to complete if you don't mess around, or if you don't cheese it. We'll talk about some of the ways you can cheese this game in a minute, but if a race is about 4 to 5 minutes long, you will run out of gas probably every 2 minutes, maybe less depending on the bike you choose. So having a lot of fuel economy helps, but the AI is going to have to stop and get gas too. So really, you just kind of want handling and speed. When you're ready to race, you'll be at the starting line with a bunch of other competitors that have no names. You can't really form any rivalries in your head or anything because these people are unnamed. Crashing doesn't really have much of a consequence besides slowing down, as you won't fall off your bike. And if you hit dirt, you will immediately slow to a crawl. So most of the challenge of this game is staying on the pavement and trying to race as perfectly as possible before you run out of gas. It doesn't matter how fast or slow you're going. If you're holding the accelerator, the gas runs out at the same pace. So you want to drive as cleanly, but also as quick as possible to get to the next gas station so you can keep moving quickly. I like the idea of having to stop and get gas, but the fact that you have to stop every minute and a half or 2 minutes is not fun. It takes strategy out of it and makes it more of a mandatory thing you have to do. There's plenty of times where I had max fuel economy and decided to skip a gas station, but ended up still running out of gas before getting to the next one. And I might be wrong about this, but I think if you have less fuel economy, it takes less time to fill up the tank. This could be a placebo effect. I could have been losing my mind as I was playing, but I feel like there's some truth to that. So the fuel economy, it doesn't matter. Just pick whatever bike you can wrangle the best. When going into a turn, when it's time to straighten yourself out, it takes a half a second before you can really start to correct your direction. It's kind of hard to explain, but when you turn, there's a huge delay before you can start turning in the other direction. Now, you might be thinking that's fine because there's not like figure 8 style tracks where you're turning right then left constantly. But when you're trying to straighten yourself out after a turn, you won't straighten out for a good solid second, meaning you're gonna hit the shoulder, the dirt. Honestly, the steering is the majority of the issue with this. The moment I have to turn is the moment where I get scared that I'm going to lose control. You may be thinking that maybe they're trying to simulate real motorcycle physics, but this doesn't apply to the AI. I've watched the AI make some of the most ridiculous turns, while I'm over here slamming on the arrow keys, trying my best to get corrected. This game feels like you should be taking a tour, not a race. When you go to Sturgis, you really want to stop and look around, but you can't because it's a race. There's so many cool sights to see, but you'll be going so fast that you're not going to see any of it. There's a lot of signs with a lot of information on it that you're not going to read. And I guess this is what practice mode's for, but you actually can't race Sturgis in practice mode. You have to go through a full tour to get to Sturgis. So really, if you don't care about what place you finish, you need to do a tour and then see everything you want to see at Sturgis before finishing, because you're not going to see it again for a while. Unless you do another tour, of course. I feel like this game would be 10 times better if instead of being called Race Across America, it was called Ride Across America, and it was taking you on an actual tour of certain places. Maybe have a competition mode for those that want a bit more of a challenge. Like, I imagine there could be a mode like Outrun to see how quickly you get to a destination. And then there's the ride part, where you just go for a ride. You go for a leisurely drive. But no, you are under pressure to finish as high of a place as possible, because you do get winnings to buy upgrades to help you in the next few races. One time I went through a whole tour without getting any upgrades to see if the AI gets better, and the AI does buy upgrades. I don't know if it's a set upgrade every single time, but yeah, they get faster. But now it's time to talk about the glitches and the cheese. There's certain moments where there's no mountain or any trees and you can just skip a certain part of the track. Sturgis is real bad for this. Once you get into downtown, you can just kind of cut across and immediately go towards the end and finish the race in like a minute. There's probably a lot of ways to glitch and cut corners and cheese each race to get them done as quick as possible, but I only have found a few. In a weird way, I think this would be a fun game to speedrun. Who can finish each track the fastest, using whatever glitches or shortcuts they found. You can tell how much land a level has if you look at the map in the upper left-hand corner. If you don't see any texture or any world, then you're gonna fall off and go into a, video game limbo, glitch heaven, as I like to call it. And this is where you learn that your bike is awesome. You can even ride on the water. Dirt still kicks up from your wheels, too. Now, this particular body of water went on for a very long time. I don't know why the developers programmed it so far out, but eventually I fell off and just started falling down. Instead of being glitch heaven, I started going down to glitch hell. But yeah, this game has a lot of interesting glitches and stuff. When you're glitching out of the map, if you press the reset button, you'll get thrown back on the track. And a few times it might throw you a little too close to a wall and you'll start glitching out. But yeah, it'll put you back on the track. In New England, I saw that there was a huge body of water between me and the other part of the track. And all I did was go across it. And once I got to the end, I hit reset and boom, there I was. There was even a gas station like 20 feet away. Good way to cut out most of the track. This is what made me do a video on this. I was scared when I started to make this video that there wasn't going to be enough stuff here to cover, but the glitches, man, there's so many and there's probably some I just didn't find. But I will say I got a little into it because I kept wanting to get to Sturgis and I found ways to really speed the game along. You don't have to be completely stopped at a gas station to get gas, and it has a pretty wide radius of where you have to be in order to receive gas. So I got to a point where I could stay moving until it gets almost full and then just keep going. I'm becoming a, official speedrunner of Harley Davidson Race Across America. Nah, but seriously, watch out. I'll start posting speedrun times. I'll submit them to speedrun.com. And that seems to be everything Race Across America has to offer. Really fun glitches and bad driving. I don't think there's anything to unlock. I did find out that there is cheat codes you can enter for like unlimited gas and to unlock that motorcycle that's behind that locked wall. But other than that, what you get is just a very bland racing game. But the glitches kind of made it worth it. But this is actually the 10th episode of Late 90s PC Gaming, and I decided that I'm only going to do 5 more episodes of these before I move on to a different decade in gaming. I'll come back to Late 90s, because believe me, there's just an insane amount of games that, and I haven't even scratched the surface, but there's a particular, actually specific year I want to look at very briefly before, coming back to it. So if there's any games you'd like to see in this series of those 5 done before I move on to the year that I want to move on to, let me know in the description below, or better yet, join my Discord and you can talk about it there. I'm Elijah Blackwell, CD-ROM Fossil, and I'm going to go play, a better racing game. Something that's not as trash.